necessarily those of the Emily Pearl Show, its sister stations, its affiliates, or its sponsors, but it is those of the individuals themselves who express it. While the Emily Pearl Show does take stances on individual issues, the show itself remains an entertainment platform. Free thought is a philosophy and not a policy.
Okay. I was waiting for that video to stop playing. Didn't look like it ever wanted to stop. So that's why I was a minute coming in. Thanks, guys. We are live tonight, broadcasting from Memphis, Tennessee, celebrating Elvis Aaron Presley's birthday. And so we need everybody to come on in and join in with us. I'm typing and trying to chew gum at the same time here. Birthday. Okay, there we go. I got it in. And to share the show, we're gonna have some fun. We got a special guest who has done a special book about Elvis and his spiritual side of him. So this is some information that you guys are not going to know about, and so you really want to get in here so that you can hear that. But right now, I've got my co-host with me standing by, and I'm bringing in this time the co-hosts of the Moses, Sybil Marie Presley. Hello, Sybil. How's it going?
Well, I'm enjoying Elvis Week is here.
All
Celebrating his
right.
birthday. I got on my Elvis shirt.
All righty then. And there's the heartbeat of the South and my every heartbeat, my son, Tim. How's it going?
All right, all right. How's it going, Mom? Hey, Sybil. Hey, everybody.
Hey, I love your
Yeah,
background.
Thank you.
yeah, he's celebrating and celebrating. So I'm trying to send some messages out here, and you guys can do the same. Share the show while we are um live.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay. And so we got somebody already in the studio. Let me get to the chat box over here. And I see Sandra is here. Hello, Sandra.
Hi,
Welcome.
Sandra.
And also, Tim says, hello, everybody. So, hosts can type in too. Say hello to everybody. That's right. Okay, so I'm sending out the individual messenger notifications to let everybody know that we're live and to come on in and join us here. Hopefully they will. But it's Friday night and that's a lot of things going on in Memphis, Tennessee. As a matter of fact, they've got celebrations going on starting now down at Graceland. And Elvis's birthday is actually Sunday. But before we get into talking about him, let's bring in our special guest. Some of you met her last night. She was with us on Pearl's Politics, and wow, was she dynamic. So, those of you who did not see her last night, please let me welcome to you, Cara Marie. Hello,
Hey,
Cara.
Hi,
Hey,
everyone.
Cara.
Hey,
Cara
hey,
Marie.
I want to say, Emily, can you spread the word that I'm dynamic, especially to the male population? Can you do
Oh,
that?
Well, yeah, they just
okay, yeah.
you don't
Yeah,
have all these
let's do
men
that.
beating down your door.
Yeah, they will do that. They will start beating it down for sure. Okay. So hopefully we can get some comments in tonight. We are on 11 different pages. The four of them are platforms and the others are pages that are my pages. Let me just say hello everybody. Let's see if
Doug
they're
said he's
all
male.
showing.
Douglas is a man.
Uh-oh, Doug. All right now. Doug, look, Cara lives in Idaho. Are you ready to travel up there?
Get your Idaho potato.
Oh, man. We got potatoes this big. I'm not kidding you. They're just gigantic up here.
Mm.
Really?
Oh, yeah. You could take one potato and make 3 meals out of it.
So these are the Irish potatoes, right?
Yeah. Well, no, they're Idaho potatoes. They're called
But
Idaho
they're
Spuds.
the red ones. They're the red
No, they're the
potatoes,
white
No.
ones. White
brown
ones.
Yeah, they're
potatoes.
white. Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah.
They got brown skin
The
on them and
brown
white on the
skin, right.
inside.
the
Yep, that's
kind the
right.
kind that you bake. I don't like cooking mashed potatoes with those. I like cooking
I
mashed
like the red
potatoes
potatoes for
for
that.
mashed potatoes. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like the brown ones for a baked potato. Yes, but
Yeah, yeah.
definitely not
They're
for
excellent for baker too, though.
for
Yep.
bacon. Yeah, gosh, I see what you mean by enough for the three people. Well,
Yeah.
he said yes, 2 meals at least. All right, this. So we're gonna go and hear from our sponsors before we let Cara dive right in for us. Okay, you all, and take this time to share the show some more. And yeah, so let's get Sybil off the screen. Somebody's calling her. All right, then. I'm taking everybody off the screen except me, and before we go to break anyway. And so we're gonna have about a 2-3 minute break while we go and hear a bit from our sponsors. Okay, so let me get the chat up, and we will be right back. Stick and stay, please. Don't go away. All right, we'll be right back.
A VPN is great for security and privacy. By hiding your IP address and encrypting your traffic, it shields your data from snoopers and all kinds of cyber attacks. But its protection scope is limited. So, NordVPN is becoming more than just a VPN. We're introducing a brand new feature to the desktop apps, Threat Protection, and it's going to take your digital security to the next level. Once you enable it on your NordVPN app, Threat Protection will guard your device against malicious websites, malware, trackers, and intrusive ads, even if you're not connected to a VPN server at the time. That's right, when you switch it on, it'll stay on, regardless of your VPN connection. Let's take a look at how it can improve your cybersecurity. Online, one wrong turn can spell disaster for your private data, but not with Threat Protection. It blocks dangerous websites that might potentially host malware, even if you click on a dangerous link by accident. Next up, Malware Protection. If you accidentally download an infected file, it's not the end of your devices just yet. Threat Protection scans every file you download. If a file turns out to be infected, it gets deleted immediately before it can wreak havoc on your computer. Most websites you enter are stuffed with trackers that follow you from one page to another, creating a unique profile of who you are and what you like. Threat Protection blocks trackers, so you can surf the net with more privacy. Ever opened a web page only to be bombarded with intrusive ads and loud autoplay videos? Well, they're not only annoying, some of them can actually be a cyber threat. Threat Protection blocks the intrusive and malicious ads on the spot. So, how do you take your device security to the next level? Make sure you have the latest NordVPN app version on your computer. Then open it and click on the little shield. It's the Threat Protection icon. Toggle the switch on and enjoy ultimate security. You can also find Threat Protection Lite on your mobile apps, but it won't block trackers or malicious files on your phone just yet. Step up your cybersecurity and stay safe.
Science has taken a major leap in the battle against thinning hair in the new topical treatment called More Hair Naturally 9. Why? Stem cells. This triple stem cell formulation may help repair and rebuild the major hair components that produce hair. Most people who experience hair loss may not realize, but damage can be done to those hair components due to DHT buildup and other factors. The old approach of DHT blockers, stimulation, nutrient supplementation is fine, but often that's just not enough. Stem cells can take it to the next level. This new natural treatment also contains Redensyl, Capixyl, and Bicapyl. These breakthrough ingredients stand alone in terms of documented success. But guess what? All three are contained in the new More Hair Naturally 9 formula. And there's more. We have several peptides designed to help fight DHT, reduce inflammation, stimulate cell production, and much, much more. In fact, More Hair Naturally 9 addresses almost every cause and symptom of thinning hair currently known to science.
Okay. I wonder what's taking these videos so long to stop. But anyway, that's okay. Let me bring everybody back into the studio. And I may have to position them again if they don't want the bubbles in their way.
I'm
Okay.
fine. I'm happy.
All right, man. So, Kara,
Yeah.
you have a spectacular book. You're a published author. And I'm going to be flashing the information for them to purchase your book that you sent to me in the text. I didn't do that last night, so I apologize for last night, but I've got it in another ticker tape that I'll show while you're talking about your book. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Get started. Let's
Where do
go.
we start? Where do we start? Sybil, where do you want to start?
Okay,
Go ahead.
Sybil.
Well, why don't you start? What caused you to write the book, and what caused you to be a Elvis fan? That would be a great start.
Okay. Okay, that's a good start. Okay. So let me think. Where did I start being an Elvis fan? Oh, I remember. I remember. Well, I grew up in a very, very small town, and maybe 2,000 people. And back when I was growing up, all the little towns had a little theater.
Mm-hmm.
And we had the old Roxy Theater. And, I went to the movies every Friday night. That's what we did. There was nothing else to do. So I went every Friday night. And of course, that was back in the 60s when Elvis was, making all his movies. And when my parents would hear about an Elvis movie coming to town, they would say, absolutely not. You're not going to that movie. They used to think that his movies were a bunch of trash and they weren't for a young girl. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so they used to go play bridge on Wednesday nights and sometimes on Friday nights. And we would get this cute little old lady that was our babysitter who was quite oblivious to what we were really up to. And so when she would tuck us into bed, I would climb out the window and go down to the theater to see Elvis.
Okay. All right.
Wow.
That's how it all started. And so, I kind of got a taste for him in his movies, and I just thought he was so cute, so handsome. And but then when I was 12, he did that documentary, Elvis, That's the Way It Is, when he made his big comeback into the music on the stage.
Mhm.
And so when I was 12, I went to see that movie with one of my best friends. And
Okay.
it was on a Sunday afternoon, and there was no one else in the theater. It was just the two of us. And we sat
Mhm.
through the whole movie and screamed all the way through the movie.
Oh my goodness.
And we were
Did you
like,
not get laryngitis? Could y'all talk after the
I'll tell you, I don't know.
screaming?
I'm surprised the movie director, the man who owned the place, didn't ever let us come back.
I know, right?
But there was no one else in the theater, so it didn't disrupt anyone else. So, but we became big Elvis fans after that. In fact, we went outside and we took rocks and we carved his name in the bricks outside
Uh-oh.
on the building. And I mean, just huge, big, huge Elvis, little Elvis. We carved it all over the bricks, and those carvings are still there on the side of the building to this day. You can still see them. So that's
Okay.
where it began. Yep. So
And what
go
about the
ahead.
book? Okay.
Well, so from there, when I was 13 years old, this is kind of where the beginning of the journey began. When I was 13, I asked my parents to. Elvis had started going back on the road, doing his live performances. So I
Mhm.
asked my parents if they would take me to. He came to Minneapolis, and I asked them if they would take me to see him for my 13th birthday. And
Okay.
of course, they still weren't Elvis fans, but they agreed to do that. And they took my sister and I, and then the two of them, and we had nosebleed seats, of course. But when I was a young girl, I lost an uncle at the age of 8,
Oh.
and he was very, very close to our family and his kids. We spent all our weekends over there with his kids, and we were all very close. And so when he passed away, I was quite confused. I didn't understand, what had happened to him, and nobody really was talking about it. I
Mhm.
think they thought we didn't even really notice. And so, but when he passed away, I finally came downstairs one night and I said to my mom and dad that I'd been up in my room crying for several, days because I didn't know where Uncle Paul was. And of course, that was the very first time that mom and dad and I talked about Jesus together.
Okay.
And when we talked about that, they told me that Jesus made it possible so that we, when we leave this world, we go to another place and we'll all be together again. So from that time on, my dad used to sing to me, How Great Thou Art. And that
Mm.
was what he would sing to comfort me. And so that became my very favorite hymn. So when I went to see Elvis Presley in concert the very first time, and he sang that song on the stage, that was the end of it for me. I mean, it lighted something in my soul, and it was like I felt like when I listened to him sing that song on stage, I felt like Elvis Presley would have all the answers. If I just followed him, I'd figure out all I could find out about Jesus because
Yeah.
that song was so spectacular.
Yeah. Mhm.
And I'm sure you all know that of all the songs Elvis Presley ever sang, that is the only song that he ever got a Grammy for. Did you know that? I'm sure you all knew that.
Yes.
Mhm.
No?
Mhm. I
Yeah.
I
did.
did.
I
Yes.
did.
Yeah.
I
She
said
said
yes.
yes.
Yeah. And but you didn't know that, Tim. Did
No,
you
I
know that?
did.
You did know that.
Oh,
Okay.
Tim did.
No,
He
Oh,
I
did.
did know.
you
He said he didn't.
you
Right.
didn't know that.
No, I
Okay,
did.
so I
Did
didn't
not.
know that either until I ended up writing the book, but I learned, through my journey of writing the book. That is the only song of all the songs Elvis Presley recorded that he ever got the Grammy for.
Wow.
And basically, I never forgot that. I became a very, very big fan of his gospel music. And while I was so young and kind of still had a lot of questions, I used to listen to Elvis's gospel music. And that was kind of my comfort as I was trying to find, answers to my questions. And so when I was 17 years old, well, actually, let's go back. When I was 13 when I saw Elvis. Just before I saw Elvis, I went to see the Osmond Brothers. How many of you know who the Osmond Brothers are?
I do.
Yeah, I
I do.
Do you
do.
think?
Tim,
Johnny and Marie.
Tim, I'm
Yeah.
surprised, Tim.
Yes.
You were just a little boy. You remember them, huh?
Yeah,
Do you
I
remember?
remember them. Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
remember them? Okay.
I do. I do.
Well, I was a much bigger Donny Osmond fan than I was an Elvis fan because Donny,
Okay.
of course, was in my generation.
Right.
So we went to see Donny Osmond, and it just so happened that after the concert, we went to the hotel across from the stadium where we were staying, and we were in the cafe, and unbelievably, sitting right next to us, came in and sat right next to us was Marie Osmond and her mother. And Marie was only 11 at the time, and I was 12. So this was right before I saw Elvis. And she wasn't even famous. She wasn't even singing at that point.
Mhm.
So nobody really paid attention to her. Nobody really knew who she was, or even, they didn't pay attention to her. But I recognized her and her mom, and we all started chatting. And Marie was sitting right across the booth from me, and we kind of hit it off. And for about a year after that, she wrote me letters,
Okay.
and which was awesome. She was just awesome. And then the following year, she sang her first hit, which was Paper Roses. And when she sang Paper Roses, she wasn't she wasn't able to keep writing anymore because she started a fan club and she had so much going on. But she told me, whenever I come out to your part of the country, if we're there in concert, you let my the bodyguards or the stage people know that you're there, and they'll come back and tell me, and you can come backstage, or I'll have you come up to my room, or anything like that. So that's what happened. And for the next several years, I would always get to see Marie, and we became friends. And through that family, I became acquainted with the Latter-day Saint faith.
Okay.
And when I was 17 years old, I decided to join the Latter-day Saint faith, and it was such a spiritual awakening in my soul, this whole experience. And I felt like for the first time I really understood and experienced and felt that I had a relationship with Jesus Christ, my Savior.
Okay.
And so when I went off to Utah to go to college at Brigham Young University, I knew that Elvis was now singing in Las Vegas, and Las Vegas was only about 400 miles from where I went to college. So I decided that I was going to try to go to Las Vegas and see Elvis Presley. And I wanted to bring him what it's called in our faith, the Book of Mormon. Have you any of you heard of the Book of Mormon?
Oh, yes.
Yes, I have.
Okay. So most people don't really know what that book is. And I was not aware that Elvis Presley had any knowledge of Latter-day Saints. I didn't know at that point in my life, I didn't know anything about his spiritual life. I mean, I guess I assumed he was a Christian because he sang that beautiful gospel music, but
Yes.
but I didn't have any clue, if he had a very specific,
Of course.
you know what I'm saying?
So how'd you find out?
Well, so I decided I was going to try and take this Book of Mormon to Las Vegas, because at that point in his life, he looked like he was really, really struggling.
Okay.
And I thought, I really found a strong relationship with Jesus by reading this book. I'd been reading the Bible my whole life, but when
Yeah.
I read this book, it helped me put some things together, and it just made him so much more clear for me. And I
Yes.
thought, well, maybe if I can take this book to Elvis, I can help him. And maybe it will help him, be able to figure out whatever it is that's causing him to have so many struggles. So
Yes.
I had planned to take that book to him in October of 1977, and he died 2 months before I was able to do that.
Uh,
So I was pretty disturbed by that. And I actually decided, because I thought, I need to have peace in my heart,
mm-hmm.
because Elvis, his music had helped me so much through my childhood, that I felt like I really want to have peace in my heart that he's okay, that, spiritually he's okay. And so I decided to fast, and I don't know, do you know anything about fasting?
Oh yeah, I
Yes.
fast
Okay.
all the
So,
time.
okay.
Me
So I
too.
just,
I do too.
okay. So I decided to do a fast, and I fasted for 3 full days, just so that I
But you
could
know
ask.
what? But you know what? For the audience, would you explain what it is?
Sure, I will. Okay, so in the Bible, we're told that we should sometimes humble ourselves through fasting and prayer when we are really in need of an answer.
Hmm.
And fasting is when you abstain from food and water, or just food. You might want to continue drinking water, but for a period of time, as a way to show God that you're earnest, that you
Yes.
really are desirous, deeply desirous for him to help you with an answer. And
Yes.
I just really wanted to be assured that Elvis was going to be okay.
Hmm.
And so I did. I fasted for 3 days. And on the third day, I had a very strong feeling in my soul that Elvis Presley had been very favorable and actually was embracing a lot of what the Latter day Saint people knew and understood and felt and believed. And I didn't tell anybody that, because I thought people are going to think I'm crazy.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
it was what the answer that came to my soul.
Hmm.
And and so I kind of tucked that away, and I sort of kept that in my heart. I just thought, well, that's my answer. And I figure the spirit of God just sort of told me, don't worry about him. He's okay. He's with me, and he's fine. And so
Okay,
I
great.
felt this peace in my heart, and I let it go. And
Yeah.
so that's kind of where it stood for, I don't know, probably 20 years. I
Hmm.
didn't really think about him again. I mean, I didn't even really get into, I quit listening to it. I wasn't even listening to Elvis music that much after that.
Hmm.
But in about 2000, let's see, 2000, well, let's see, it would have been 2007. 2007, I did some backup singing for an Elvis impersonator out in Salt Lake City. And the two of us got to kind of comparing our notes about Elvis. Now, if I were to ask you, based on what the world has been, a lot of the press that Elvis has got since he passed away, what do you think the world's viewpoint of Elvis is?
Okay, so let's go one at a time. Tim first.
I as a young little boy is when I got introduced to Elvis, because I believe it was on the weekend on Saturday nights that I used to watch. My grandmother used to watch. So what back then what was on is what you watched. It
That's
wasn't
right. Yeah.
so it was
And
no
the Ed Sullivan show.
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
exactly. So, once it's stuck on that challenge on that channel, but that's how I came about with Elvis. And I used to mimic his dances as we were watching. So, that really cracked people up and whatnot. But what I would say is, what do people think now that he is still greatly missed? Not only is he greatly missed, it's some people that feels that he's still alive.
A lot of people do.
A lot of people. A lot of
Yeah.
people.
All right,
Hmm.
Sybil.
Well, first of all, I want to say I'm happy that Ernestine's watching. And then I want to say that Douglas said that he visited Provo, Utah to see his best high school friend. And
Oh wow.
he met Mary Sturgelson, a very famous contemporary Mormon author. He wanted me to let you know that.
Yeah,
Who? What was her name?
Mary
Doug,
Sturgelson.
Douglas Morton.
Mary Sturluson.
Uh,
I'm going to look her up. I don't know her name.
said she was a famous contemporary Mormon uh,
I'm going to look her up.
author,
Hmm.
and I wanted to get that by you. And then he said that Elvis was avid with religious books, and so LDS was a three-stop shop for divine literary works, for Jesus Christ.
Now, what does he
And
mean by a three-stop shop?
I don't know. I guess he'll have to explain himself. I'm just reading what I
Yeah.
see.
Okay. Hmm.
And anyway, Elaine Elizabeth Presley wanted me to let you know that she was baptized into the Mormon Church, Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Hmm.
And she's looking forward to meeting you sometime in the future, hopefully. And
Great.
I talked to her this afternoon. She said, make sure you say that. And she's looking forward uh, to someday seeing Elvis's Mormon book that's in the what do you
Yes.
call it? The library or the
Yeah.
museum.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
called the archives, and I'm going to
yeah,
tell you a
it's the
little bit about that.
archives.
Hmm.
And Elvis personally autographed the book, and it has a personal message in there. And it's been confirmed by, well, she can tell you the people, by people that know for a fact that he did keep the Mormon book in his uh, bedside table, in his
Yes.
bedroom.
Yes.
So
He
that is
did.
an authentic book signed by Elvis, along with a message in the Utah in the Church of Jesus Christ Latter Day Saints Museum. And I believe the world still loves and respects Elvis, and he's just one of a kind and a star that will never be dim in the universe of entertainment. And I'm happy to be a giant fan as well.
Hmm.
So I read your books, and I think they're marvelous. And then on the screen, I see where how people can purchase your books. Only one key in the journey home, and send you a $40 money order made out to Cara Marie Thompson. The only ad, I don't see a complete address on there for people to send the money order.
Oh, it's
I
not.
just
It's
It's
not finished.
286 Caribo.
Care. It's
No,
care. Yeah.
it's on there. What she wants on there, and if her
Well.
address is not on there, it's for
Oh,
privacy. We don't want to advertise her
oh,
address
I didn't know if it was a PO box or what.
Okay.
all over the
Okay.
world. You
Well,
Okay.
anyway,
know.
you can get in touch with her, and she'll make sure that you
Yeah.
get
Well,
a copy
it's
of the
on the
wonderful book.
screen. It's running at the bottom of the ticker tape.
I
So
see it.
Yeah.
that's
That is actually part of my address, but it's not finished.
Oh, I
And
see.
and where they really should order the book is at the publication or the publisher's email. That's where they can order
Oh,
the
I
book.
see. Well, that's just
And I'll
wonderful.
tell
And
you that before we finish here tonight.
okay,
so is
and
And
that
I enjoyed the book.
let
It,
me
it,
ask you about that. Hold 1 minute, Sybil.
yeah.
So on this address, is that the publisher's address that you have that
no, that's
296?
that that's yeah, that's the publisher's address, but it's not complete. But
Okay, so
it's better
let
if they
let
do it on the email anyway. So
all
let's
right,
have
let
them do
me
it by email.
Yeah. Send you an email.
okay, so I need to go ahead and make this change now. Um so they need to just contact you at your email. Let me take this off, right?
Right.
Um okay, so hold on just a minute. Let me
That's
correct
why I wanted
this.
to draw your attention to it. It was not
Okay.
complete. Yeah.
Karen Marie, only one King Living Waters Press. Okay. I think what happened is this particular ticker tape only allows 200 characters,
Well,
and
you're
it cut it off. So what
Hmm.
I'm going to do now is you already got one king once, so I'm gonna take it out.
So while you're
here.
doing that, do you have the email from last night, the same one we did last night?
Yes.
Okay, so that's what you should put on there, the Gmail,
Okay.
the Living Waters Press. And while you're doing that, I want to talk with these guys a little bit more about. So when I ask what the world thinks, now I know what Elvis fans think, but when all the stuff that came out about Elvis Presley after he died was an awful lot of negative press. Okay, about
Yeah,
the
it
drug
was.
use, and there's still a lot of negative stuff that's out there. And
It is.
I think a lot of people, and even that book that came out before Elvis died by Red and Sunny West, which I didn't really know about any of this back then. I only learned all these things as I ended up writing the book. But what ended up starting that was because in 2007, when my friend who's an Elvis singer and I were working together, we sat down at lunch one day and we got to talking about, that there's an awful lot of negative belief about Elvis, so many negative things that have been written. And, both of us agreed that we really felt that Elvis Presley had to be an amazing soul spiritually because he had such a great impact on people and on the world. And his music has never died. And the people who love him just are so faithful in their devotion to him. And we just decided that Elvis deserved to be known for all of the good that he did. And so I think that since then, probably that was in the middle of 2000s, a lot more has been written about Elvis's spiritual life. But this aspect of his spiritual life has sort of been kind of shied away. They've kind of stayed away from it. And so anyway, I started back then to write a book that I was trying to gather stories about all of the positive things that Elvis had done. And I worked on that for about 4 months. And then the computer I was working on was stolen. And
Oh,
all
wow.
of what I had done for 4 solid months, all day long, was gone. And I decided I wasn't going to start over. It was like, how can I even begin this over? And I won't tell all the stories because they're in the book.
Okay.
But so many unbelievable, like ridiculously crazy things started happening that it was like things that just I don't even know how to explain it. Like the night that I prayed about whether or not I should start over, I couldn't sleep. I got up, I walked out to my living room and got on my knees, and I'm like, I'm not starting this over, you know? But I felt like this little voice, and I felt like it was God, said to me, I want you to go and open the Mother's Day card that you got from your mom. Now, that was the first time in my life that my mother had ever sent me a Mother's Day card. She had never done this before that. And I had gotten it and put it on the counter because it meant so much to me that I was going to save it for Mother's Day. I wasn't going to open it till Mother's Day. So I put it on the counter in my kitchen. But when I was praying that night about starting over, it was like this voice said, go open that card. And so I got up, and instead of waiting, I opened the card. And when I opened it, something flipped out of the inside of the envelope, and it rolled across the floor. And I heard it smack up against the door. And I went over and picked it up. And it was a Tennessee quarter. You remember when they made all those quarters that had all the states on them?
Yeah.
You know? Well, it was one from Tennessee. And on the front of the quarter was Elvis's face painted. You know, it was hand painted. And
Oh,
and I thought to myself, wait a minute. My mother
somebody,
doesn't.
so somebody painted it on there?
Yeah. And my mother
Wow.
had gotten this for me for Mother's Day. And she didn't know I was trying to write a book about Elvis. She didn't even know that I was still a big Elvis fan. And so I thought, how unusual
Yeah,
that she sent me this. And
that was so sad.
that was the first thing that was like saying to me, you need to start over.
Ernestine
And
says that she used to watch Elvis late shows. He was a fan of hers,
who
Yeah.
did?
and
Late show.
and Mary's here, Mary says, I saw her somewhere. Let's see. Mary says, hello, everyone. I'm late. She had phone issues. Okay.
Okay.
So when I interrupt you like that, I apologize. But I do have to put in the comments for our audience because we do this show for them and we ask them to give us feedback and interact with us. So sometimes I'll just have to kind of
Jump
dive
in
in
there.
there.
Mhm.
I don't be meaning to cut you off, but
I,
I can't. It's hard to catch a breaking point with some people, and
Emily,
then
I need to let you know that that is still not correct. It's
it's
close.
not
It's
okay.
it's at gmail.com. At
Oh, that
Gmail. Through their,
oh,
yeah, it's through their
okay.
email. It's through their
Yeah,
email.
I thought that was pretty long for a
Yeah.
I asked you about that last night, and you kept
Yes.
saying it was okay. Hold on, and let me fix this. So to buy, Marie at gmail.com.
Right.
Thanks for telling me that. .com. Am I gonna make it? Yeah, barely made it. That M was the last digit. Okay, and see if that's right now. While it's running, we're gonna go ahead and take a break. I'll get our sponsors in there. Our partners gotta have their time too. So we will be right back. I'm taking everybody off the screen, and y'all thank y'all so much for sticking and staying. And I hope you all are enjoying this new information because we're finding out a lot of things that we did not know, and it is just fantastic. So stick and stay, don't go away. All right, we will be right back.
Have you been involved in the network marketing or direct sales industry? Are you tired of all the poorly run companies, crazy crypto deals, or flat out scams? Is the dream of residual income and financial freedom still a reality? What if there is a new company that was totally different than everything you've seen in the past? One that is creating a new category unlike anything ever introduced before, in an industry that is already doing over $210 billion in annual revenue. And no other penny auctions company has figured out how to capitalize on this massive market. With margins to pay commissions that's up to 10 times higher than any other company has been able to pay in commissions. Well, that would be the most exciting social influencing story of this decade, and you get to learn about it before everyone else. Introducing Two Can Win. We are taking the power and excitement of penny auctions and combining them with a social influencing business model and a compensation plan that has never been seen before. Companies like Quibbit and DealDash have built billion-dollar companies by offering people the chance to win auctions on the things they have dreamt about owning, but they get to buy them for up to 80 or 90% off the retail price. Imagine buying a new $80,000 BMW for $16,000. For many, that is life-changing. Two Can Win is going to be the first company to bring penny auctions to a new level. One where you get rewarded by just using your everyday influence to share this unique business with others. This concept is so unique and so powerful, it is going to be the hottest thing our industry has ever seen. And you can be first. Two Can Win is just beginning our pre-launch and will be going live shortly. We all get 2 or 3 chances in life to be at the right place, at the right time, with the right opportunity. This is one of those rare times. Your next step is to watch the next video to learn all the details and stake your claim in this game-changing business. Welcome to Two Can Win.
Welcome to the Shack 12 Week Shred. My name is Rock Shabazz, and I'm here to take you through the same program that I made for this guy right here.
This program is without a doubt a huge reason why I was able to get fit and stay fit. If you put in the work and stay consistent, you just might be able to keep up. It's time for you to get to work.
All right, a little something for the men there. Don't forget, I'm going to show you to go to our link where you will find all of our partners offers, get all of our partners discounts, and they are running some good ones, at the beginning of the year. You can find them simply by going to wlo.link/ at Emily Pearls. And don't forget to go to tubi.com and watch our movie. Let's see, did I show that? Okay. Where is it? Oh, I got a chat up there. I was wondering why it wasn't shown. Let me move this chat. And I'm going to put the movie up there again so you can see the name of it. Just go to tubi.com and you can see our movie there, okay? Tubi.com. You can see it on your TVs. Um, some of you have Xfinity. I know they have that channel on there, but you can also download the app free on Apple and on Google Play. But you can also watch it from your internet browser. Just go to Tubi.com. Put in M Pearls, AAL, the movie, or you can just put in M space Pearls and our movie would come up. It was produced and filmed and performed in 2017. And now it went from Amazon to Vimeo and now it's on Tubi. So we love that. We love that. And my, how time flies. It looks like we got about 15 minutes left for the show. I see Jenny has stopped in. I'm going to go ahead and put her in first. Hey, Jenny, thanks for stopping by.
Hey, Jenny.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hey,
Okay.
Jan.
I just thought I'd
Right.
stop in for a second.
Oops.
Tell you my little Elvis story. Not even Sybil knows about it.
Oh,
Yeah. Sybil knows about how I was connected with my grandmother. My grandmother was one of the biggest Elvis fans ever. She collected everything Elvis. She listened to him every time he was on the radio or the TV. She was there, and then she had his entire collection at up to that point. I was a teenager when he died, and one of the things that very few people know, and I didn't realize it until a while back, I guess a few years back, but I didn't realize it until then, till now, that my grandmother met Elvis.
Wow.
I know that because of something Sybil posted, blonde hair. Okay,
huh?
my grandmother had somehow talked to him and knew that from talking to him that he was actually blonde and he had his hair dark. See, everybody recognized him hair, but he's actually blonde.
Blonde.
When he was growing up as a
Had
child,
blonde hair. Oh yeah, I
sandy
remember.
blonde
I
hair.
remember. I've seen pictures of him as a child. Yes,
But
you're
she
right.
told me she had talked to him before, and I was a teenager. I didn't pay attention, but memories are
Yeah.
coming when I hear something that brings back a memory. And
Yes.
she knew that he was a blonde.
Yeah, he was blonde. And thank
But
you for sharing that, Jen. So, Kyra, we
Yes.
got about 10 minutes left for
Okay.
you. If you could just
Okay.
do the
All right.
specifics.
I'll do a
Specifics.
couple of really specific things.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. So when I did have that experience, I was inspired to start the book over, but it became a completely different book, and it
Hmm.
became this book about his whole entire spiritual journey. And
Yes.
this is what the book looked like when I started. The very first printing of the book. Let me see if I can
Uh-huh.
put that picture on there.
Yes, I
Is
see that.
this
Uh-huh.
okay? I
Elvis
had
kneeling.
an artist do this beautiful painting,
It's
and
beautiful.
and 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 once I started writing the book over, it took on a life of its own. It
Of
just
course.
it just took on a life of its own. And
Yes.
before I knew it, all these people were coming to me. The Osmonds were telling me stories I hadn't known. The Osmonds had performed in the exact same hotel where Elvis performed, and they became very good friends with Elvis. And in fact, Elvis Presley had become quite connected to their mother, according to their family, because she reminded him of his mother, both in her looks and also in her spiritual connection. She was a very spiritual woman, and he kind of looked to her, and she was one of the several people who had given Elvis Presley a Book of Mormon over his lifetime. Okay, I learned that he started really studying about in all the spiritual studies that Elvis did. I learned through this journey of writing this book that it sort of began for him in two places. One, when he met Ed Parker. How many of you know who Ed Parker was?
Mm-hmm. I know of him.
Do you know who that was?
I don't.
The name's familiar. Ed Parker.
Ed Parker was Elvis Presley's. After he started karate in the Army, when he went to Hollywood, he went to a lot of karate championship tournaments, and he met Ed Parker, who was considered the father of American Kenpo street fighting karate. Ed was a graduate of Brigham Young University, where I graduated from, and was a very devout Latter-day Saint. And he and Elvis had a lifelong relationship. And Elvis eventually hired him as basically his security director toward the end of his life. Okay. And in fact, something that's very interesting, if you watch the last concert that Elvis did, you remember the concert where he, in Omaha, it was in Omaha that they filmed him for the TV special at the end of his life. Are you familiar with that concert?
No,
okay.
Not really. But is this about the book?
Yeah, it has to do with the book because basically Ed Parker and Larry Geller were two of Elvis's main spiritual mentors. Okay. Larry was New Age. Ed Parker was Latter-day Saint. And Ed and Larry in that very last concert, both of them are standing behind Elvis when Elvis puts his hands together and says a prayer before he goes on stage. And you can see this in the film. And they call this the Indian salutation prayer. And what's interesting is that Elvis started learning about the Book of Mormon and the Latter-day Saints through Ed Parker. But then he met a missionary when he was on the set of Paradise Hawaiian Style, which was filmed at the Polynesian Cultural Center in Hawaii, and that's owned by the Latter-day Saint Church. And while they were there on the set, Elvis kind of disrupted the work of the young man that was doing the landscaping there, and the young man shooed him off the lawn, said, "Get your stuff out of here. I got to do my work." And Elvis came over and introduced himself to this man. His name is Bobby, and his interview is in my book. And Elvis said to Bobby, "I don't know what it is about you people here in this place here in the Polynesian Cultural Center, but you seem so happy." And Bobby said, "Well, it's the Aloha spirit." And Elvis said, "Well, I know the Aloha spirit because I love Hawaii, but there's something else going on here." And Bobby said, "Well, do you know anything about the Mormons, which are the Latter-day Saints?" And Elvis said, "Not really." And he said, "Well, would you like to learn something?" And Elvis said, "Yes." So here on the set of the Polynesian Culture Center, filming Paradise Hawaiian Style, Bobby and Elvis sat down in the shed amongst all of his lawn equipment, and they talked for hours about the Latter-day Saints.
Okay. So what is the purpose of the book for people that don't really know about the spirituality of him pertaining to Mormons? What would they find out if they
they're going to learn. Well, they're going to learn his whole journey. Well, first of all, they're going to learn. Well, let me read this to you. This will tell you. Okay.
All right.
So the back of the book, this is the synopsis of what the story is about. Okay. It says Elvis, and I never knew this until I wrote this book, what a seeker he was. But it says Elvis was a lifelong seeker for spiritual truth and divine meaning, and his studies intersected him with many beliefs and philosophies, including those of the Latter-day Saints. And before now, no one has written about this part of his spiritual journey with the Latter-day Saints.
Okay.
So it says here that through my 3-day fast, I learned that Elvis had a very strong relationship with Jesus Christ, which I didn't know before this. And then it says that this story will tell you that basically it looks at Elvis's life and his whole journey through his own spiritual beliefs. Okay, because people don't know how much he guided his life through his spiritual beliefs, and most people think that Elvis was just a drug addicted, kind of mess by the end of his life. But what I conclude at the end of this story, having learned all of the things he studied, including what he believed about my faith. And what's interesting about his interest in our faith, I did take Elvis's stepbrother, David Stanley, up to our church archives, what you were talking about, Sybil, in 2005. And we went through one of the Book of Mormons he had. We looked through all the pages and all the things he wrote and underlined. And that's when he told me, he was also one that told me, this is the book Elvis kept on his nightstand with his Bible and read from it every night. And it was very important to him. And so what I conclude at the end of my story is that Elvis Presley, even though, and I just heard something last night on a podcast by Larry Geller, and Larry had said, and I think maybe some of you have heard this, but that Elvis had made the decision by the end of his life that he was going to pretty much clean house, including Colonel Parker. And he was going to go off back to Hawaii for a year and get his life back together. And he told also several other people that you'll read about in the book that he really kind of wanted to quit the secular aspect of his music and do what he originally intended to do, which is go on the road and sing only the gospel music. He wanted to go back to his roots and get back to singing and praising God with his music, which I find beautiful.
I believe that.
Yeah,
I do too.
Yeah, but that's what I wanted you to finally get to before we ran out of time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, it was just, it was an amazing journey. And you'll read about, I don't know how many people, different people who kind of told me a story. And one thing I want to tell you is that what I learned about why Elvis became so interested in the Book of Mormon, and he wrote a note to his daughter in one of the last pages of the book. But why he became so interested is because Elvis was Jewish. He had Jewish ancestry. He had the Pentecostal upbringing in the Assembly of God Church, and he also had Cherokee ancestry. Well, what the Book of Mormon is, and I told you this, Emily, last summer, this is the story of the ancient relatives, the ancestors of the American natives. Okay, that Book of Mormon is really their records of how this great white God visited their people, which the Book of Mormon says was Jesus Christ, that he visited their people anciently, the native people anciently. And so here's Elvis reading his Bible his whole life. Now he's read all these other things, but now he's reading the Book of Mormon, and it puts together his Jewish ancestry, his native ancestry, and his biblical ancestry. It kind of puts it all together because these people, the native people, came from, basically the claim is that they came from the old world, and they're connected to the Jewish and the Hebrew ancestry. So it's kind of a fascinating story, this part of Elvis's spiritual journey. And I think it's wonderful to know that by the end of his life, this man had his spiritual life, on track. He was working on getting everything back on track.
All right. Thank you so much, Kyra. Everybody just give Kyra a round of applause.
Yes.
I know you all have enjoyed the show so much. And we wish we had more time, but we don't really do.
I'm sorry we didn't get to talk quite as much as last night, but
No, yeah, politics is kind of different. We have more time, but on Friday nights, we try not to keep our audience no more than just a little past an hour.
I thank your writers, the ones who sent some things in. I appreciate Elaine sending in what she did, and the man who visited the woman in Provo.
Yes.
And I'm going to go look her up tonight.
Okay, sure. Yeah, you can always watch our shows on replay. Just simply go to the Emily Pearl Show, or go to YouTube and look for the Emily Pearl Show, or go to Twitter, look for the Emily Pearl Show. They're all there. All right.
And
so
one quick question. Tim, were you the one to like Elvis first, or your mom?
I believe it was her.
It was you. Okay.
Yeah, it was definitely mom.
Yeah, it was her.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
it's good to see you all.
Okay.
Okay.
You
Yes.
too.
Several.
Great job, Kara.
Thank
That was a
you.
wonderful show, and
Thank
so
you.
happy to see you. And I'm looking forward for you coming back to
All
Memphis as
Oh,
right.
soon
me
as
too.
you can get.
I can't wait. I'm ready to
Yes.
get out of the snow.
I know you are. Tim, your closing comments.
Great show, great information. Can't wait to do it again. With that, I'd like to
Yeah.
wish everybody love, peace, and happiness, and let's be safe out there.
All
All
righty.
right. So who's gonna
Bye
sing
now.
happy birthday to Elvis before we
Oh,
go?
yeah, for sure.
Who's gonna sing it?
I
You
will.
are, Emily.
Go ahead. No,
No, how
You
about
all
Carol
sing it
Marie?
with me. You sing it with
Karen.
me.
No, we might.
Happy birthday to you.
Nobody. Just Karen.
Oh,
Just
just
Karen.
me.
Yes.
Okay. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Elvis, from all of us. Happy birthday to you.
All right.
Yeah,
Happy
go
birthday, Elvis.
ahead. Yeah. I mean, you've got a great voice.
Oh, thank
Audience,
you.
did y'all hear that voice? She can
Yeah,
really
that was
sing.
pretty.
Thank
Beautiful.
you.
Yes,
Thank you.
definitely. All right.
Bye now.
That was beautiful. All right. So listen, y'all. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. We love you guys. On Sunday, we'll be having another special guest, Minister Gwen. Gwen is hopefully going to be with us on our Sunday's Talk About Angels show. And she is a new friend that we just met, but she's also a minister. And we have invited her to worship with us on our Sunday gospel broadcast
Fantastic.
on this Sunday at 1 p.m. So I'll be posting information on that. Kara, you can watch it on YouTube.
Yes.
Yeah, and so I will send you the link after the broadcast
Okay.
so that you can watch it on YouTube. But you have got to get on Facebook, young lady.
I will.
All right, then.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
All right, that's our time. We love y'all. Everybody
All
say
right.
good night.
Good night.